Nikon. For years, the choice of professional photographers everywhere. A world where art and science meet. Today we'll explore this world, a world of performance, reliability, and imagination. As an owner of a Nikon camera, you've already elevated your photography to a whole new level. Today, we'll show you how to expand your opportunities even further, to become the photographer you've always wanted to be. Welcome to the world's greatest pictures. Hello, I'm Jack Perkins. Welcome to the world of Nikon. Today we're going to show you how to build a Nikon system that will expand your photographic opportunities. While I'll be your host, world-famous photographers Galen Rowell, Joe McNally, Roger Ressmeyer, Al Satterwhite, Brett Froomer, Jill Enfield, and others will show you how they use Nikon equipment to produce stunning photographs. We'll also tell you a little about Nikon touch cameras, binoculars, sunglasses, Nikonos underwater photographic equipment, and the very special Nikon 35 Ti. When this video is over, you'll know a lot more about Nikon and photography itself. If you're ready, let's get started. Our journey begins with legendary Nikon quality and performance. Nikon is one of the world's leading high-technology companies, formulating and manufacturing its own optical glass. For example, Nikon ED glass, which stands for extra-low dispersion, is renowned for its quality. ED glass transmits light with crystal clarity and faithful color rendition. Integrated optical coating and careful attention to the finest details enhance the quality and consistent color rendition of genuine Nikon lenses. Relentless testing assures the quality and performance of all Nikon equipment. The result is photographs of incredible clarity and color. Today's professionals choose Nikon, and now making their photographs has become easier and more reliable than ever before. That's because Nikon has pioneered and continues to lead the way in the development of many exclusive features. Let's take a look at the features that are common to Nikon advanced cameras. Nikon SLRs feature high eye point viewfinders and bright view focusing screens. This means your eye can be a comfortable distance from the camera and still see a complete clear image. One of the most important features found in most Nikon SLRs is matrix metering. Matrix metering divides the scene into separate segments, analyzes the light patterns, and using a computer automatically calculates the exposure. Unlike other metering systems, variations in brightness and contrast are instantly taken into account. The system analyzes the scene almost as a professional photographer would, but in a split second. Now, difficult lighting situations, rapidly changing light patterns, or even backlit situations are rendered creatively and reliably. While you concentrate on the action, your Nikon camera concentrates on the exposure. Okay. Nikon cameras with matrix metering also help improve flash photography through matrix-balanced fill flash. Today, almost everyone wants photos like these, combining ambient light with light from the flash. But making balanced fill flash photos has always been difficult, until now. Your Nikon camera uses matrix metering to evaluate the brightness and contrast of the scene's available light. Based on this exposure, the attached Nikon speedlight then fires, illuminating the foreground. the camera controls the flash output for a perfectly balanced fill flash picture. It's a system you'll use from still lifes to action photographs to low light situations. The results? Flash pictures like you've never been able to make before. Nikon also excels in autofocus technology. With Nikon autofocus SLRs, the autofocus system offers among the following options. Choose single servo autofocus, where the camera focuses and stays focused as long as you keep the shutter release button depressed. Or use continuous autofocus, where the camera focuses and refocuses continuously as your subject moves. With some models, you get the added benefit of focus tracking. When the subject is moving, the system anticipates where the subject will be at the precise moment the shutter opens to expose the film. While you concentrate on the action, the camera follows the subject, achieving sharp focus.
That tracked her like a charm.
And to make sure you're never left in the dark, Nikon's advanced autofocus system operates in light as dim as that of one candle. In light where you probably can't focus using your vision, it can. Film advance in Nikon autofocus SLRs is motorized. Depending on your camera and picture opportunity, choose single frame, high speed, or low speed film advance. Capture picture after picture, sharp and well exposed. The speed of each camera model's continuous motor drive options vary up to 5.7 frames per second. And even if you're not sure what settings to make, the camera is. Using one of your Nikon autofocus SLR's automatic exposure modes, aperture and/or shutter speed will be set automatically. Using the auto multi-program exposure mode, the camera will select an aperture and shutter speed consistent with the use of normal length lenses. When you switch to a longer focal length lens or zoom out beyond 135 millimeters, many Nikon cameras switch to the high-speed program mode. Now the system will select higher shutter speeds to overcome potential camera shake when using longer lenses. With many Nikon SLRs, you can also shift some program settings. Using the flexible program, choose faster or slower shutter speeds to create the kind of pictures you want automatically. And to make your pictures darker or lighter, use the exposure compensation control, also found on several models. If either blurring or stopping the action is your goal, switch to the shutter priority automatic. Now you select the shutter speed, slower to blur the movement or higher to freeze it, while the camera selects the correct aperture. If depth of field is the objective, switch to aperture priority. Create less depth of field by selecting lower aperture numbers, such as f2.8, and greater depth of field by selecting higher numbers, such as f16. In any case, the camera will automatically select the proper shutter speed for you. And with all Nikon advanced autofocus SLRs, if you want to lock the exposure while you recompose, use the auto exposure lock feature. When using the center-weighted or spot metering modes, simply slide the switch over. The system holds the original exposure value for the scene, allowing you to recompose and create stunning off-center compositions while controlling the exposure for specific highlights. For situations where you want to be in complete control, Nikon advanced SLRs can always be operated using manual control. As your knowledge and expertise grow, so can your system. Nikon's famous F-bayonet lens mount makes your Nikon SLR compatible with literally hundreds of Nikon lenses. As Nikon innovation continues, your investment in Nikon quality pays off today and tomorrow. Now let's review the Nikon system of photography, starting with Nikon's advanced SLRs. Nikon's N6006 lets you make the type of photographs you've only dreamed of before. For most lighting situations, use the N6006's matrix metering. For special emphasis, as in dramatic portraits or strongly backlit subjects, switch to center-weighted metering. Now 75% of the exposure is concentrated in the center of the viewfinder. Again, the results can be stunning. Or switch to spot metering. Now the exposure area is concentrated in this precise 3.5 millimeter area. In terms of exposure, select Program, Program High Speed, aperture priority, shutter priority, or manual exposure modes. Apply exposure compensation in 1/3 increments, all the way from plus or minus 5 EVs. Also, auto bracket your exposures. The camera's built-in exposure bracketing system allows you to take 3 or 5 frames of the same subject with a compensation value of 0.3, 0.7, or 1 EV between each frame. Where there's light, there's action. The N6006 features a built-in wide-angle flash you pop up when the camera tells you flash is needed. But if you've ever thought of flash as simply illuminating the subject or something that should only be used indoors or at night, Nikon has changed all that. The N6006 features matrix-balanced fill flash. Instead of getting ordinary flash pictures where the subject looks too bright against a dark background, matrix-balanced fill flash combines existing light with light from the flash. You get pictures that seem to sparkle and look better than if you used just natural light. Other flash capabilities built into the N6006 include rear curtain sync. Now the flash fires at the end of the exposure rather than the beginning. Combining rear curtain flash with slow shutter speeds creates a stream of light behind your subject. In fact, thanks to the N6006's slow sync flash capability, the aperture can automatically stay open as long as 30 full seconds to capture low light exposures, then fire the flash to illuminate the foreground. This means both background and foreground will be properly exposed in almost all flash pictures. No more dark, underexposed backgrounds. Because of the N6006's built-in flash controls, other Nikon speed lights, like the SB21B or the SB23, can also perform rear sync and slow sync flash. You can also use flash exposure compensation to control the power of the flash in 1/3 step increments from +1 to -3 EVs. Brighten or darken the foreground of your photos. Also perform center-weighted fill flash, where the exposure calculation is based on a smaller area of the scene. The N6006 features a variable self-timer that lets you be the subject in your pictures, and auto-film handling from loading to rewind. The N6006 accepts Nikon lenses, close-up accessories, speed lights, and filters. Now let's talk about the Nikon N8008S. The N8008S features a high eye-point viewfinder, 3 metering systems including matrix, center-weighted, and spot, high-speed motor drive, precision autofocus, shutter speeds from a full 30 seconds to 1/8000th of a second, flash sync to 1/250th of a second, and an array of features, options, and controls that open up a whole new world of picture-taking opportunities, all in a lightweight, compact body. The N8008S focus modes include single and continuous autofocus modes, focus tracking, and manual focus assisted by electronic rangefinder. Its exposure modes include program, program high speed, shutter priority, aperture priority, and manual. The flexible mode allows you to adjust the program mode to suit your particular needs. Apply exposure compensation in 1/3 increments, all the way from plus or minus 5 EVs. Most importantly, you can expand your N8008S with advanced Nikon accessories, like the MF21 multi-control back, ML2 Modulite remote control, interchangeable focusing screens, and speed lights. Now you can take on more photo opportunities and produce pictures beyond the reach of other systems. Challenge your creativity with the N8008S's multiple exposure feature with up to 9 exposures per frame. Try lock focus or lock exposure for dramatic compositions. The N8008S uses an array of optional Nikon speed lights, including the advanced Nikon SB25. Matrix balanced fill flash in daylight softens harsh shadows.
That was great.
Or at twilight offers beautifully balanced backgrounds and flash illuminated foregrounds. And at night, matrix balanced fill flash adds an exciting new look to your pictures. Set your flash to rear curtain sync for an action-following trail of light, or front curtain sync for the opposite effect. Use the repeating flash function of the SB25 to create stroboscopic effect. And thanks to a top flash sync speed of 1/250th of a second, the sky is not the limit when it comes to outdoor flash. Expose the subject without overexposing the sky in typical daytime situations. Also with the SB25, use center-weighted or spot fill flash to concentrate the exposure or to create unusual photographs. Like all Nikon advanced cameras, the N8008S defies obsolescence. With its Nikon F-bayonet lens mount, the camera operates with all of today's Nikkor lenses, including micro, perspective control, super wide, telephoto, medical lenses, as well as older AI, AIS, and AI modified lenses. Operation varies with each lens type. Increase your photographic possibilities with the MF21 multi-control back mounted on the N8008S. Automatically bracket your exposures in 1/3 stop, half stop, or full stop increments up to 19 consecutive frames. Create automatic time exposures up to nearly 100 hours. Set the interval timer to take individual photographs as much as 100 hours apart. Imprint time, date, and sequential data on your photographs. Set freeze focus to fire the shutter the moment your subject enters a pre-focused zone. From its aluminum alloy shutter curtain to its wide shutter range from 30 full seconds to an 8,000th of a second, the N8008S is truly a step up in photography. The N90 is a camera designed to inspire your creative vision, to turn ideas into photographs. The N90 features a high eye-point viewfinder, 3 metering systems including matrix, center-weighted, and spot, 6 exposure modes, high-speed motor drive, shutter speeds from a full 30 seconds to an 8,000th of a second, high-speed flash sync to a 4,000th of a second, and an array of other options and accessories. The N90's autofocus modes include single and continuous autofocus, focus tracking, and manual focus assisted by electronic rangefinder. Its exposure modes include program, very program, shutter priority, aperture priority, and manual. The flexible mode allows you to adjust the program mode to suit your particular needs. Apply exposure compensation in 1/3 increments, all the way from plus or minus 5 EVs. The N90's wide area autofocus makes creative composition easier even in action situations. For exposure control, 8-segment 3D matrix metering adds the dimension of distance to brightness and contrast. A brilliant 5-segment flash sensor introduces a new level of flash performance. Computerized Very Program offers an array of photographic techniques at the touch of a button. And combined with the SB25 Speedlight, MF26 multi-control back, and unique data link system, the N90 is a tool for the imagination. Location photographer Joe McNally describes the N90's new wide area autofocus feature.
Well, whenever you try to shoot a sport like regatta, you're looking to get as tight as you can to get in almost to the hands of the rowers, where you really get the power of the arms and the spray. And that's real difficult to do without a big lens. And a big lens automatically means difficulty focusing. The traditional sort of autofocus solution to this would have required me to bullseye composition the rowers. I was able to switch to the autofocus mode, wide area autofocus. I was able to move off center and frame them in a way that I found graphically interesting and not have to worry so much about staying in the center.
The N90's autofocus system is based on Nikon's CAM246 sensor module. Using an advanced cross-type design, the system takes in nearly 20% of the viewfinder width. Now you can stay with the action or even switch to spot autofocus to capture a specific part of the scene or subject, such as portraits. The N90's 3D matrix metering system is the most advanced multi-pattern metering ever. Using an 8-segment matrix, it combines information on brightness, contrast, and, with Nik or D-type autofocus lenses, distance. The result is incredibly accurate exposures in difficult shooting situations. Writer, adventurer, and photographer Galen Rowell explains.
I began to feel that I was in the presence of something really new and different when I had a backlit subject that was about 10 feet from me with a bright sun behind. And I set it on auto and looked through the viewfinder to look at the exposure reading, and I realized, hey, that's right on. I don't have to do anything more. I can take this picture right now. Because the exposure was dropping out the bright values behind, using the distance technology to favor the backlit subject.
Data received from Nik or D-type autofocus lenses is combined with data received from the 8-segment meter. The system also takes focus status from the electronic rangefinder into account. Here's how it works. Let's say you use autofocus lock and then recompose your photo. The N90 compares the original focus information from the D-type lens to the new focus information. Obviously, the status of the in-focus data has changed from the original composition. Because of the change in this data, the N90 knows you have recomposed your picture. It will now emphasize the peripheral segments of the scene to evaluate the exposure. On the other hand, if the focus status information is unchanged, the computer knows that the subject is still located in the center of the viewfinder, and these center segments continue to be emphasized. If the 3D system finds that the subject is strongly backlit, or even the opposite, appearing against a dark background, data prior to recomposition is also considered. After taking all this information into account, contrast, brightness, distance information, and focus status, the N90 then determines the appropriate exposure. Using this information, along with advanced algorithms and fuzzy logic, the system can decipher even difficult lighting situations. As if this isn't enough, the camera can work even harder. The N90's Vary program allows you to select a variety of automatic picture-taking techniques. Shoot silhouettes at the touch of a button, portraits where the subject stands out from the background, close-up shots, hyperfocal shots with great depth of field for beautiful scenics, sports shots where the action is slightly blurred against the background, and ideal landscape shots with wide-angle and normal lenses. You choose the subject and the type of photo you want. The Vary program makes the exposure settings for you. There's even a red eye reduction feature when used with the Nikon SB25 Speedlight, one of the N90's most important accessories. When used with the N90 and D-type autofocus lenses, the SB25 opens up a new world of flash photography. Nikon's specially programmed computers found in the camera, the lens, and the flash work together to create your flash picture. This new technology is called 3D multi-sensor balanced fill flash. You see, the effect of flash illumination is highly related to distance. The SB25 fires a series of monitor pre-flashes that determine the subject's reflectance and will achieve better exposures even with dark or very light subjects. Because 3D multi-sensor balanced fill flash automatically takes distance into account, photos like these with highly contrasting subjects, off-center composition, or those with highly reflective or brightly illuminated parts of the scene are possible without time-consuming calculations or adjustments. Using 3D multi-sensor balanced fill flash means you can use flash in more situations with confidence. How well does this system work? Let's ask professional photographer Brett Froomer.
I like that curve in there. Put car number 34, like he's going around and the car, our car spun out right here. So it gives us some sort of support that we're on a raceway. All right, the background I need up a bit more. I used the N90 on its completely automatic settings to cover this dramatic recreation of a race car fire. Combining the camera with an SB25 and a 28 to 70 millimeter zoom, the only setting I made was to set the flash exposure compensation down 2/3 of an EV, simply to meet my particular taste. Every other setting was the default setting, literally just how it came out of the box. The challenge here is a high contrast, rapidly changing light situation. His mark is right there. Jacket, okay? Mike, your mark is right down below. The other challenge is that you can't go back and do it again. Once the car burns, the photo shoot is over. Okay. I used the SB25 to provide fill flash, narrowing the contrast range between the flames and the other darker parts of the subject. I used 3D matrix balanced fill flash because I knew it would keep pace with the constantly changing light patterns. The computers found in the lens, the camera, and in the flash were talking to each other, sharing information, and making all the decisions for me as I concentrated on the action. Shooting a scene like this, with everything that was at stake, would be a major challenge for anyone. But the N90 handled this situation so effortlessly, it was amazing. 3D matrix metering is a truly remarkable accomplishment.
The N90 has other incredible features as well. The N90 features a special high-speed flash sync speed, up to a 4,000th of a second, with manual exposure control. This enables you to capture brighter light levels in your backgrounds while achieving better stopping action of moving subjects. Joe McNally tells us more.
It's pretty incredible that you can actually sync a strobe at a 4,000th of a second. And it's especially handy and applicable in a situation where you have action that's occurring very, very close to the camera. Because I'm sure even at a high shutter speed without strobe, you get a little bit of blur with something that's moving that fast within, say, 3 or 4 feet of your lens. So what we did in that situation was pull the strobe off of the camera via an SC17 cord, get it below the camera so the light source was coming up into the rollerblader's face. As he hit his turn and made his spin in midair, the strobe hit him in the face and filled him. And I was able to rely on that light source to provide frontal detail and at the same time look straight at the sun and up at the sky. The 4,000s, 2,000 shutter speed range that we're using then took the exposure value of the sky down dramatically and made a very, very interesting sort of graphic out of it.
The N90 features Nikon's F-bayonet lens mount. It accepts all of today's Nikon lenses. It also uses interchangeable finder screens, eyepiece correction lenses and magnifiers, right-angle viewing attachments, and the MF26 multi-control back. Using the MF26 multi-control back, shoot at specified intervals to create entire sequences of photos. Create automatic long time exposures up to nearly 100 hours. Bracket exposure settings with and without flash for a range of exposures. Set freeze focus so the shutter is automatically fired when the subject is in focus, ideal for wildlife and sports photography. Record information and study your photo techniques by imprinting data right on your photos, and more. In fact, a lot more. That's because the N90 also accepts a remarkable new accessory, the Nikon Data Link. The Data Link is your key to expanded control of your N90. Consisting of 2 Nikon components, the Nikon AC1E IC card and the MC27 connecting cord, the Data Link works with a sharp wizard model 8000, 8200, 8600, or 9600. Using the Nikon Data Link system, you can customize camera settings, operate your camera with a remote cord, select photo techniques, and even create your own custom automatic program exposure control. The Data Link system is even capable of memorizing and recalling shooting data such as shutter speed, aperture, meter system, and the focal length of the lens being used. This is a tremendous advantage for photographers who wish to learn what effect particular camera settings have on their photography. With optional software, this information could even be downloaded into your personal computer for the ultimate in data organization. There are more features to the Data Link. Perform auto-sequence shooting, where you expose a predetermined number of frames, or choose all-mode exposure bracketing and shoot from 3 to 19 continuous frames, each with a different exposure. Even bracket flash exposure from 3 to 19 frames. If multiple exposures interest you, select from 2 to 19 on the same frame of film. Even flash exposure compensation can be controlled in 1/3 increments from -3 to +1 EVs. The Data Link includes a glossary of photographic terms and a photo handbook with instructions and photo techniques to use with the N90. Data Link, it's your key to expanded control of the N90 camera, and just one more way to start taking the world's greatest pictures. And speaking of the world's greatest pictures, here is what almost any professional photographer will tell you is the world's greatest camera. This is the choice among professional photographers who use 35mm. The latest in a series of Nikon F cameras, the F4S features 3 metering systems, 5 exposure modes, high-speed motor drive up to 5.7 frames per second, fast precision autofocus, shutter speeds to 1/8000th of a second, and an array of features, options, and controls. The F4S is synonymous with professional photography. Just as important, the Nikon F4S connects you to the entire Nikon system of photography and technological advances in lenses, camera backs, speed lights, accessories, and other Nikon equipment. This is the most comprehensive and capable photographic system in the field today. Let's begin with Nikon F4S construction and handling. The F4S has been designed to meet the special needs of professionals. Its advanced microelectronics and mechanical parts are encased in this die-cast aluminum alloy chassis. This contributes to the F4S's reputation for durability and shock resistance. Surrounding the F4S body is this non-slip rubberized exterior that also serves as a shock absorber, and it's comfortable to hold too. The camera has a smooth, well-rounded body surface and contoured dials engineered for fast ergonomic handling. Levers and dials have been designed to resist moisture and dust. All this serves to create a highly secure and comfortable interface between you and the camera. All the right features are in all the right places. There are 2 shutter releases. You can easily shoot horizontally using the release on top of the camera, vertically using the release on the side. There's also a 3rd release on the back for a remote cable and a 4th for remote control. But no matter how you're shooting, the F4S is quiet enough that it won't disturb your concentration or your subjects. Inside the F4S is the largest computer system ever built into a 35mm camera. 13 integrated circuits and 3 8-bit microcomputers work together to bring you the most advanced level of automatic operation ever. Driving the F4S are 4 coreless motors that enhance efficiency and improve performance. This camera is fast, really fast. Coreless motors offer quick response, high torque, and efficient operation. Film advance, shutter control, rewind, and autofocus are each powered by individual motors. Inside is the unique F4S shutter system. It offers speeds from 30 seconds to 1/8000th of a second, and 1/250th of a second flash sync. To ensure that there is virtually no light leaks while changing lenses, the f4S features a unique dual curtain shutter system. This dual curtain shutter also allows a mirror lockup. 4 of the shutter blades are made with special epoxy material reinforced with carbon fiber, and the other 4 are made with aluminum alloy. Working together, these blades provide consistently accurate exposures, even at their highest speeds. They've been reliability tested up to 150,000 cycles. Not only does a powerful braking system prevent shutter bounce, a tungsten shutter balancer overcomes shutter vibration in the critical 1/15th to 1/25th of a second shooting range. The balancer rises as the shutter curtain operates. This reciprocating movement absorbs vibration. These features, along with the camera's ergonomic design, give you much more confidence for handheld shooting, even at slower shutter speeds. Bracing your camera against a wall, using a beanbag or other support, is often enough to ensure a sharp, clear image. Incidentally, the f4S has been performance tested in temperatures ranging from 158 degrees to -32 degrees Fahrenheit, including extremes of dryness and humidity. This means you can use your f4S under the most demanding conditions. And if you demand even more, there's a complete line of interchangeable viewfinders allowing you to shoot comfortably from almost any angle, optional power supplies, remote control accessories, and a 250 exposure multi-control back for extended shooting. These expand your system even further. Rounding out Nikon's advanced camera line is the 35 Ti, a whole new type of camera. The 35 Ti packs some of Nikon's most advanced features into a lightweight, high-strength titanium body. It's the ideal travel camera and a complement to your advanced Nikon SLR. A built-in 35mm f2.8 integrated coated lens offers exceptional center-to-edge performance. Choose standard format pictures or dramatic panorama shots at the flip of a switch. Either way, you'll get outstanding photographs and sharper, clearer pictures overall. A 7-blade aperture strategically located in the center of the lens also helps ensure the sharpest photographs. The 35 Ti's autofocus system is virtually stepless, offering 833 positions, more than any other active infrared system. You're assured of sharp focus at the touch of the shutter release, as close as 1.3 feet. A 6-segment 3D matrix meter analyzes the scene's light pattern and, working with the camera's computer, automatically determines proper exposure. With the 35 Ti's custom function control, you can also switch to center-weighted metering. Now 75% of the exposure will be concentrated into the center of the viewfinder. Choose programmed auto exposure control for general purpose shooting or aperture priority auto for more control over depth of field. Flexible program and exposure compensation control help you create exactly the kind of photographs you want automatically. You always know what's happening because the 35 Ti features an analog information display that's easy to read. The 35 Ti's built-in flash system fires when needed indoors or out. Incorporating advanced distance technology, this 3D system yields remarkable balanced fill flash photographs time after time. Custom functions let you cancel the flash, choose metering system, imprint shooting data including day and date onto the pictures, display speed or aperture, and panorama frame marks through the viewfinder. The viewfinder of the 35 Ti itself is remarkable. A special liquid crystal display clearly indicates the picture areas.
What was interesting, one of the pictures that we shot with the camera was the girl in the yellow dress crossing a bridge. When I was shooting that, the light kept changing. The light was on the girl, it was in, it was out, it was in, it was out. And normally, if I didn't use the automatic exposure, another camera, I'd be going nuts with a meter and you're losing the picture. The automatic exposure on this camera. It was really right on. I found it to be right on. That worked really well, I think, on this particular camera.
I like the size of the camera. It is one that can be placed in the pocket as well as in a camera bag and be there for an emergency or when traveling around without the need for a lot of other professional gear. It worked very well. I like the idea that it was quiet. The lens is tack sharp, so that it is not only an amateur camera but a professional camera. You can actually shoot an assignment with it and come back with good, sharp chromes or black and white images. It's got a flash that will fill in or do reasonable distance, do flash photography, and it's got a meter system that's going to give me reliable results. So I feel as though something I can rely on and be happy with. And then I can go out and play with it as well and just use it as a snapshot camera.
Whether you're an amateur or a professional, we know there's one thing that you're vitally interested in: building your Nikon system. And for most of us, that means lenses. Selecting the right lenses begins with you. That's because only you know what you want to shoot and the kind of photographs you intend to make. By selecting a Nikon SLR, you've opened the door to the world of Nikon lenses. Wide, super wide, telephoto, zoom, micro Nikkor, D-type, close-up, fisheye, and more. While all of these lenses let you create different types of photographs, they're all alike in one important respect: they're Nikon. Nikon lenses are made from the finest optical glass produced in Nikon's own glassworks, polished and tested to 1/800,000th of an inch, vacuum chamber multi-coated using Nikon's revolutionary integrated coating process for superior contrast and color rendition, close-range correction technology for exceptional performance from near to far, and Nikon pioneered internal focusing, which makes focusing possible without increasing the length of the lens barrel. All Nikon lenses feature the famous F-bayonet lens mount, made with chromed brass for durability. And because they've been designed exclusively for Nikon cameras, their operation is consistent with Nikon system operation. They've been reliability tested, so you can depend on them time and time again. And if the proof is in the pictures, Nikon lenses yield color that is consistent from lens to lens, photo to photo. If it doesn't say Nikon on the lens, you're not getting full Nikon performance from your system. So let's look at Nikon's current line of lenses and then show you how to build a number of lens systems for different applications. Remember to check your instruction manual for specific operating procedures for each type of lens. Nikon lenses are divided into several basic categories. There are two types of Nikkor autofocus lenses. Powerful AFI lenses feature built-in high-performance coreless motors. These motors assure lightning-fast operation for longer focal-length lenses. The elements of these lenses are larger and need to move much farther during the focusing process. D-type AF Nikkor lenses also provide autofocus and provide distance information for analysis by the N90's 3D matrix metering system. When used with the N90 and the SB25 autofocus speedlight, they enable 3D multi-sensor balanced fill flash. The focal length of the lens you select depends on the type of photo you want to create. Other factors, like the maximum aperture of the lens or how much light it can take in, affect the conditions under which the lens can be used. They also determine how close or far away from the subject you have to be to use the lens effectively. Nikkor fisheye lenses, for example, available in 6, 8, and 16 millimeters, offer the widest view. The 8mm fisheye covers a 180-degree view of the world. The 6mm actually covers a 220-degree circular view, extending the photograph to an area appearing behind the photographer. Nikkor ultra-wide-angle lenses, starting at 13mm, offer striking wide-angle effects. Wide-angle lenses, starting at 20 millimeters, offer a wide picture angle and excellent depth of field for spur-of-the-moment action shots and dramatic perspective. Normal length lenses approximate the image size seen by the human eye. These are 50 to 70 millimeter lenses. Moderate telephoto lenses from 85 to 105 millimeters offer excellent head and shoulder shots and are ideal for portraits. Shooting these lenses with wide aperture settings creates shallow depth of field, isolating the subject from the background. Telephoto lenses from 135 millimeters pull in distant scenes, filling the frame and compressing the space between objects. Nikon zoom lenses offer tremendous convenience. Change focal lengths quickly without actually having to change lenses or your shooting position, yet maintain high optical performance. And Nikon micro Nicors, available in a selection of 60 millimeter, 105 millimeter, and 200 millimeter focal lengths, take you this close, life-size, to this far, infinity, in a single lens. To get you even more acquainted with Nikon lenses, here's a scene shot through a 50 millimeter Nikkor lens, much as your eye would see it. Here's the same scene at 20 millimeters, 35 millimeters, 85 millimeters, 135 millimeters, 200 millimeters, and 300 millimeters. In fact, Nikon lenses go all the way up to 2,000 millimeters, putting distant subjects within easy reach. To help you learn more about Nikon lenses and their applications, let's build lens systems for 3 applications: travel, people and portraits, and for maximum picture-taking flexibility, fast action. We'll offer you 3 travel systems: a basic system, an expanded system, and an advanced system. Beginning with a basic system, your first choice is the versatile 35 to 80 millimeter Nikkor AF zoom. This lens offers wide-angle convenience with normal and near telephoto capability. Expanding the basic travel system is the versatile 70 to 210 millimeter D-type Nikkor AF zoom. Now, with a single movement, you can bring distant subjects up close and make them stand out dramatically from the background. Our next basic lens is the 28 millimeter f2.8 wide-angle AF Nikkor. This is an excellent travel lens since it offers great depth of field and allows you to be closer to your subject while capturing more of the scene. If you want to cover even more area, you might opt for the 24 millimeter f2.8 Nikkor. Your final lens is the 60 millimeter f2.8 autofocus micro Nikkor. This lens offers a natural perspective, yet has a tremendous focusing range from infinity down to close-up for life-size images. With this basic kit, which includes 2 zooms, a wide-angle lens, and a micro Nikkor, you can capture most activities or subjects. If you want to advance your travel system even further, you might want to choose the new 28 to 70 millimeter D-type autofocus zoom lens with wider angle instead of the basic 35 to 80 zoom. And substitute the 75 to 300 millimeter zoom Nikkor for the 70 to 210 Nikkor. With 300 millimeters, you can reach out even farther, expanding your system's capability. In terms of a wide-angle lens, you might choose a 20 or 24 millimeter Nikkor instead of the 28, again expanding the range of photographs available to your system. For the ultimate travel system, choose the advanced 80 to 200 f2.8 D-type AF zoom Nikkor. Featuring Nikon's internal focusing mechanism, extra low dispersion ED glass, and autofocus, this lens features a fast 2.8 aperture throughout the entire focal length. And for incredible picture-taking capability, add the 20 to 35 f2.8 D-type AF zoom Nikkor. Jill Enfield shows us how to put the travel system to work.
When I first arrived, I wanted to use the wide-angle lens so that you could be introduced to the building. So I went for using a wide-angle lens with everything being in focus, with showing a full view as to how you were going to enter the building. The first thing you see are these penguins on either side of this long driveway as you enter the complex, so that I wanted to have not just the penguins in focus, but everything. And then as I walk through the space, I will tend to go more towards my longer lenses and go towards more picking out details and a shallower depth of field, and really concentrating on smaller areas. And so that's a big reason to go for the longer lenses, so that everything else is out of focus. You're just concentrating on one area. When we first came and started looking around the building, I noticed how beautiful those leaded windows were, and with the curtain blowing through. So now that I've got on my long lenses, I'm going to come up here and come back to that shot. And I have a zoom lens on from 80 to 200 that I can really make a decision just from being in one spot and honing in on where I want to be. This is giving me, when I'm pulled all the way out, I can get the whole patio, and then I can zoom in and just get that wonderful doorway and curtain. I want to get both, so I can make a decision once I get home as to what I really want to concentrate on. You don't want to limit yourself to one way of seeing. So you have all of these different lenses, and you have a choice as to what you want your image to look like. If you're going to always use the same exact lens, it can get boring even though you might be at different areas. But having a choice of different lenses will also give you a choice of what you want your viewer to focus on.
Now let's move on to people and portraits. Creating a system around people and portraits means choosing lenses that isolate the subject against the background. The traditional focal length range for portraits is somewhere between 75 and 135 millimeters. With people shots, you want a zoom lens to make sure you can reach out to your subjects and fill the frame. Our first choice is again going to be the versatile 70 to 210 millimeter D-type AF Nikkor zoom. With this one lens, you can compose portraits and zoom in and zoom out to capture the surrounding area. Once you have the 70 to 210 zoom, your next best choice is the 28 to 70 millimeter wide-angle Nikkor zoom. This lens still gives you a wider angle and allows you to photograph groups of people at a closer range. Your third selection is a choice between the 85 millimeter f1.8 AF Nikkor and the 105 millimeter f2 AF Nikkor. Both of these lenses are very fast, allowing you to use lower ISO films for greater detail even in dimmer light, or shoot wide open to blur the background. To create a more capable people and portrait system, substitute the Nikkor 75 to 300 millimeter AF zoom for the 70 to 210 millimeter zoom. Just as in the travel system, now you can reach out even further, covering subjects normally beyond your reach. Or, for more compact size, distance technology, and faster speed, choose the 80 to 200 f2.8 D-type AF-ED-IF zoom Nikkor. Your next choice for a more advanced people and portrait system might be one of two other zoom lenses. The first, the 35 to 135 AF zoom, or the 35 to 105 millimeter AF zoom Nikkor. Both lenses have a greater focal length than the original 28 to 70 millimeter zoom lens we chose, opening up a wider array of compositions without changing lenses. Our final advanced lens for people and portraits might be one of two micro Nikkors, the 105 millimeter f2.8 Nikkor or the 200 millimeter f4 micro Nikkor. Either lens offers tremendous focusing range from this close to this far with a single lens. This allows you to concentrate on the subjects and objects that enhance your photographic story. And to enhance your people shots even further, you could pick one of 3 wide-angle lenses. Any of these lenses allow you to capture your subject even in confined space. The 28mm f2.8, the 24mm f2.8, or the 20mm f2.8.
Beautiful light is oftentimes the most elusive and most difficult to get on film. So I naturally reach out for these higher end kind of lenses like the 35-70, which is a 2.8, the 80 to 200 2.8, and I'm really excited about the new 20 to 35, which is also a 2.8. In a portrait situation, those 3 lenses would be able to take you from a wide environmental type of a portrait to a very tight close-up that would show the essence of a detail or a character, whatever you're trying to convey that's part of a story. With the boxer we worked with this morning, Terry Sutherland, he's an up-and-coming lightweight, and he just, in addition to a magnificent physique, he also had a really expressive, eloquent face and a real light in his eyes. So in a situation like Gleason's gym where he works out, it's irresistible not to go for the scene, the environment, to capture the old walls, the speed bags, the window light, the dirt on the floor, the kind of grit of a boxer's day-to-day existence. But with Terry, it was irresistible not to come in very tight to his face and get that light in his eyes, get that expressive feel, which you generally don't associate with a boxer. To me, it was very surprising that someone who is that tough physically had that kind and a forgiving a face. So I wanted to try to capture all of that, to go through those paces with him. And the fluidity of movement of a boxer like that, especially a lightweight, is almost balletic, and when you're working that way, you want to be able to match him move for move. You don't want to be constantly interrupting his flow of a workout to step forward and say, wait a second, please, wait a second, please. The lenses, the speed of the lenses, and again, their quietness and the way the new glass is focusing fast, it just all helps you be as unobtrusive as you possibly can and let the subject speak. You don't want to go tramping around like Bigfoot, because you're gonna ruin your moment.
The third system category you should consider, especially if you're an advanced amateur or professional, is fast action. All of the lenses in this system offer larger apertures, allowing you to shoot in lower light levels with faster shutter speeds. Their greater range offers more picture-taking opportunities and a wider selection of shutter speeds and apertures for any given situation. Consisting of 7 lenses, our fast action system begins with a 20mm f2.8 AF, moves on to a 28mm f1.4 D-type AF Nikkor, a 50mm f1.4, a 300mm f2.8 D-type AF Nikkor, and a 400mm f2.8 D-type AF Nikkor. A Nikon TC20E teleconverter for the 300 and 400mm lenses can instantly double these focal lengths when needed. Rounding out the system is the 80 to 200 f2.8 D-type AF ED zoom Nikkor. With this one system, you're literally ready for anything, including travel, people, portraits, nature, and sports. Remember that you can always add to your Nikon lens system 500, 600, 1000mm, even 2000mm Nikkor lenses, and even greater zoom lengths like the 180 to 600mm Nikkor zoom, or the special order 1200 to 1700mm zoom. Any way you look at it, only Nikon lenses give you the performance, versatility, and path to the future you're looking for. Also affecting the final quality of your photographs are filters. The use of filters can greatly enhance the quality and feeling of your photographs. In fact, every lens should be fitted with a UV haze filter to improve results and protect your valuable lens from damage. It's important to note that lesser quality filters can actually degrade your photographs. Nikon filters are precisely engineered and designed to match the optical and physical characteristics of Nikon lenses. Parallel front and rear surfaces avoid distortion. Multi-coating enhances light transmission and allows only the specified portion of the visible spectrum to pass. An ultra-thin outer ring avoids vignetting. Spring loading keeps the filter perpendicular to the lens's optical axis. And where the use of the wrong materials in the filter ring can cause other filters to literally bond to your lens, Nikon filters are completely compatible with the materials used in Nikon lenses. Nikon filters for color photography include color correction in shades of amber and blue. Amber filters control the bluish coloration that affects daylight film, making shots warmer and more natural. Some also allow the use of the Type B indoor balanced films to be used in daylight. Blue filters remove reds and have a cooling effect on your photographs. Using a blue filter during the day and underexposing the film by 4 or 5 stops can create eerie night-like scenes. Nikon filters for black and white photography include shades of yellow, orange, red, and green. Yellow filters absorb both blue and ultraviolet light, making skies appear darker. Orange filters are stronger than yellow, toning down blue and green and heightening contrast between sky and objects. Red filters produce ultra-high contrast photos. All colors except red are filtered out, so blue skies appear almost black and clouds stand out. Green filters absorb red and blue, letting green and yellow through. They're also ideal for balancing the reddish cast of floodlights. Nikon ultraviolet or UV filters for both color and black and white photography create sharper prints, or can be used to correct for blues and violets in color prints and slides. Use skylight filters with color film to reduce the bluish cast of photographs taken in the shade. Neutral density filters reduce the amount of light striking the film. This allows you to use larger apertures without changing shutter speeds. This allows you to obtain greater control over depth of field and helps prevent overexposure in bright light. Circular polarizing filters reduce glare and can increase color saturation. Reflections from glass or water surfaces can be suppressed, and the filters can actually be rotated in their mounts to reduce or increase their effect. And finally, soft focus filters soften portraits and other subjects. The number 1 filter lends a romantic effect. The number 2 offers an even stronger treatment. Remember that Nikon cameras, lenses, and filters have been designed to work together, paying off your Nikon investment with the sharpest, clearest images possible. But there's one other accessory that should be a basic part of your Nikon system: lens hoods. Lens hoods protect your pictures from stray light, minimizing flare and diminishing ghost images. Whether screw-in, slip-on, snap-on, or bayonet, every Nikon lens should be outfitted with a hood, which also provides extra shock absorption should the lens be dropped or struck during use. Now let's turn to another important part of your Nikon system: flash. For years, Nikon has been the recognized leader in flash technology. An array of Nikon speedlights working with the computers found in advanced Nikon cameras has elevated flash photography to an all-new level. Now, photos like these that combine ambient light with light from the flash, so-called fill flash photos, can be taken at the touch of a button. But to truly understand what Nikon speedlights can bring to your photography, it's important to understand the concept of fill flash itself. In this scene, it's apparent there are very dark areas and very light areas. This is called a wide contrast range. While your eyes adapt quite well to this situation, seeing detail in both, film cannot. It tends to reproduce these areas either too dark or too light to carry any detail. Obviously, it needs some help. That's where fill flash comes in. Using a Nikon-developed technique, automatic balanced fill flash, the brightness range throughout a scene is compressed. The details in both the shadow areas and the brighter highlight areas reveal more detail and better color. This is accomplished by combining fill flash with ambient illumination. When the flash is turned on, it signals the camera's light meter to shift exposure, reducing the ambient exposure setting by 1 f-stop. This reduces the exposure for the overall scene. It slightly darkens the background, enhancing color saturation, and does the same for the foreground. At the same time, the exposure setting is literally making room for the fill flash. Without this adjustment, the foreground highlights would become overexposed as the flash fires. Now, the flash output is controlled by a through-the-lens system, which integrates the flash output with the ambient illumination. The effect of the flash brightens the shadows to reveal more detail and color, while light is also added to the highlights. The effect is much smaller and the highlights remain well exposed. The result is a compression of the brightness range of the scene. A balance between the foreground exposure and the background exposure creates an overall pleasing picture. Nikon camera systems excel with this exclusive performance feature. Depending upon your camera and the types of flash photos you want to make, you might want to choose a Nikon SB22, SB25, or the SB23, which is a compact speed light and ideal partner for the Nikon N6006. If you're using Nikon's most advanced speed light, the SB25, with an N90 camera and a D-type autofocus lens, distance is also automatically included in the flash calculations. Now, get great flash pictures even when encountering reflective surfaces or other difficult situations. All of these speed lights offer highly accurate, through-the-lens auto flash and manual exposure settings for those moments when you want to be in complete control. Instead of simply stopping the action with flash, make it come alive with repeating flash. Or create special effects with rear curtain sync flash, creating a stream of motion behind the subject. Or switch to normal flash sync with slow shutter speeds to create the opposite effect. For faster shooting, add the SD8 high-performance battery pack to selected flash units and get up to 250 flashes without changing batteries and extremely quick recycling times. The new Nikon SK6 power bracket adds still more power, speed, and versatility to your picture taking. For off-camera flash operation, use the SC17 cord or the new SK6. With the flash off camera, you'll be able to achieve varied lighting effects by repositioning the flash or even bouncing the flash illumination off a reflector card or other surface to create soft and dramatic backlighting or side lighting. And finally, using up to 5 Nikon speed lights, enter the world of multiple flash. Here you direct and manipulate the light from different positions and angles, create rim, back, and background separation to make stunning portraits and one-of-a-kind photos. All you need are Nikon speed lights, SC18 or SC19 connecting cords, 1 or more AS10 adapters, and your Nikon camera. Then position main and secondary flash units. It's easier than you think. Joe McNally explains.
Okay, with multiple flash, the effect that you're trying for is for more dimension, more depth in your pictures. And the effect that we were trying to create on the dock the other night was to light in a fairly complex way the various areas of the dock and create an effect, to speak with the light. You know, light is like language. You know, it has inflection and tone and color, and as photographers, that's what we have to use to express ourselves. So the SB25s, when you link them together like that, give you a lot of possibilities.
The main light is down low at a 3/4 angle, and it's zoomed to 85, so it's going to really concentrate on her. We're going to have to be careful about the positioning. When she moves, we're going to have to move that, so we'll have to be really attentive to that. We got a quarter cut, a CTO on it, a slight warming gel, because the feel I'm trying to create is that most of the light here is going to emanate from this trash fire that we're going to build over here, and that's going to be the source of warmth for these lights. Okay, background lighting what I want to do is I want to light this no trespassing sign, because this is a really forbidding environment, and I want to create that feel that it's off limits, that it's a back alley. So we got a full CTO on this. That's 3200 Kelvin, turning daylight into a tungsten balanced type of light. We're going to bang this off of that, and that's also zoomed to 85, so the concentration of light is going to be right in here. We also got another backlight stashed in the machinery underneath here. It's at full power, it's also full CTO. So it's going to bang down into here, and hopefully what it's going to do is light like the bottoms of her feet and the bottoms of her bodysuit, and all kind of outline her limbs as she's up on the girder work here. Well, I have to maybe play with the placement of that. Well, I have to see when she gets up there. This light we got going in here, it's zoomed wide to 24 mil. It's also full CTO, because I want something off of the metallic roof in here, because I got the trash fire over here, so I want to create some sort of sense of continuous light right off into here and provide detail into an area that's otherwise going to go black. Okay? And as far as, so we got these cords hidden. And the last thing I wanted to create was that you oftentimes just have a lonely old light on a dock someplace. And hopefully that's what this will do. It spreads wide the way just a tungsten work bulb would be. And it's just going to flare out back in here. And I want it to kick light off of these old pallets, off of this. Okay? So it's all hardwired, and it's all keyed to that main light. So basically we're in good shape, because we don't have to worry about, you know, trigger eyes or anything like that. It's all a hardwired continuous system. So, you know, now all we need is our model and a good sunset, and, you know, we'll see what happens.
The results you can achieve with multiple flash are truly amazing. Nikon speedlights can produce an incredible variety of photographs, and almost all of these flash techniques are available on automatic or can be adjusted by you to meet your specific needs. If your needs are for pictures that are even more out of the ordinary, consider Nikon's multi-control backs. A Nikon multi-control back, whether for your f4S, N90, or N8008S camera, can expand your system's performance even further. Depending on your camera model, make all of the following photographs. Create long time exposures with the f4S and the MF23 multi-control back, up to 999 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. For these really long exposures, you'll need a customized power supply. The camera's batteries are good for about 4 hours, depending on temperature and humidity conditions. Using the interval timer, produce a series of photos where you input the start time, the interval between each picture, the number of pictures, or even the number of intervals. Use the freeze focus function to automatically fire the shutter when the subject enters a preset focus position. Most importantly, auto bracket from 3 to 19 frames for a range of exposures of the same subject. With the N90, auto bracketing is possible in all exposure modes, including manual. Select exposure compensation values from 1/3 to 2 EVs, automatically shifted from the metered value. A bracket sequence will normally position the correct exposure in the middle of the series, with some number of overexposed frames and some under. However, with the MF23 for the Nikon F4S, you can shift the correctly exposed frame to either the beginning or end of the sequence. This is a distinct advantage when using negative film, which can be overexposed and still yield good results, or slide film, which normally can be underexposed. Study and record your exposures with a choice of data imprint. Enter date, time, frame number, serial up count number, fixed number, shutter speed, or aperture and exposure compensation right on your photographs. Set an alarm to ring at the same time every day. Set a film alarm that sounds when a preset number of exposures has been reached. Set a film stop that locks the shutter at a predetermined number of exposures. A frame counter is also included, and even an imprint level adjustment. A Nikon multi-control back can significantly expand your photographic opportunities. But to enter a whole new world of photography, you need to get close up. If you've ever marveled at close-up photographs, it's important to understand that this seemingly difficult technique is now automatic, and what might have seemed impossible before is now just moments away. And a Nikon close-up system doesn't have to cost a lot of money. In fact, almost any micro Nikkor lens can focus close enough to offer life-size images at the touch of the shutter release. 3 micro Nikkor lenses are available: a 60mm f2.8, a 105mm f2.8, and a 200mm f4. Because these lenses focus from as close as 6 inches all the way to infinity, they are extremely versatile. Using the 60mm, for example, capture a beautiful nature shot and then move in close to photograph detail, all with the same lens and with ordinary perspective. Or with the 105mm, make a beautiful portrait and then move in close for detail. Notice how the perspective has changed with the greater focal length of this lens, isolating the subject from the background. Or using the 200mm f4 or other micro lens, even copy other photos you've taken, or preserve heirloom photos on film with no special equipment. To build a more capable close-up system, however, you want to consider other Nikon equipment. Reversing the lens with an inexpensive Nikon reversing ring can get you more than twice as close. Nikon close-up attachment lenses can also take you close, and auto extension rings closer still. And for maximum magnification up to 12 times the size of the original subject, you'll want to use the PB6 bellows. And because light is so critical to close-up photography, you may want to consider the Nikon SB21 macro speed light. While the SB25 and other Nikon speed lights can be removed from the camera to provide lighting to close-up subjects by simply using an SC17 cord, the SB21 allows multi-flash close-up techniques. The flash features 2 flash tubes, which can be rotated to create different lighting effects. You can also turn one or the other flash tube on alone so that relief lighting can be created to show more detail. This adds a feeling of dimension to an object that would appear flat if ordinary front lighting were used. You can also use the SB21 in conjunction with the SB25 or other Nikon speed light. In this case, the SB25 is positioned behind the subject, while the SB21 provides lighting to the front. The SB21 is truly a specialized flash that helps make Nikon close-up photography a reality. Al Satterwhite tells us more about Nikon close-up photography.
Macro lenses allow you to get in really close, much closer than a normal lens. Like the 60 and the 105 are basically a little longer than a normal and a medium telephoto. So you can use either one as a regular lens and shoot sort of vistas or scenics with it or portraits, and you can move in even closer, shoot fine detail. If you're shooting a person, you can move in and shoot a tight face, then a tighter face, then you could get in and shoot an eye, or even closer yet, all without adding tubes or bellows or diopters. It's just one continuous movement from infinity down to 1:1. And the only difference between, say, a 60 and a 105 would be your distance relationship between you and the subject and your depth of field range when you're working in close. The Jessica and the Dory shot, we started off with a 60 macro. It's wide enough to allow us to include local ambience, some space around the picture and sort of set the scene. And then we can just move in close and keep moving in closer with that lens all the way down to 1:1. So move in, move back out, move back in, see something you like, you can change immediately. And the autofocus, of course, making it even that much faster. In using the 105 for the shot with a mother and child, we could distance ourselves from the subject and try to stay out of their awareness, let them interact without the camera being right in their face. And the fact that it's autofocus and the kid's constantly in movement makes it that much faster to track and keep focus on them. In moving in closer on that shot, we were working with the flower, shooting point of focus on the flower and then being out of focus in the background, and then reversing it, focusing on the child's eye, changing your focus and your point of focus in the picture. And with the autofocus ability of the lens, again, making it very fast to move back and forth between whichever subject you want to highlight. With the 200 macro, in the case that the kayak we shot,
right there,
I can keep her or shoot her at distance because she's out in the water and I don't want to be out in a boat. I want to shoot from a dock or something steady. I can also narrow my depth of field shooting wide open and sort of blow out the background. Then when she comes in closer, you can start using the macro aspect of the lens. To get it in closer, we put a diopter on it, 5T. You don't really think of a 105 macro as being a scenic lens, but the great thing about it is you can reach out to infinity and shoot some nice scenics, and then without even a blink, you can zip right into anywhere in macro down to 1:1 and shoot tight, as we did with the scene from the boathouse, and rack right into the net and the buoys and texture and patterns and close-ups. It's a real handy one lens to carry around for that reason.
While Nikon offers an array of lenses, filters, special accessories, and close-up equipment, there are many other accessories as well. Nikon remote cords let you operate your camera at distances of up to almost 10 feet away. At further distances, up to 300 feet, Nikon modulights allow you to fire either your camera or your speed light. Modulights feature a test light, single or continuous shooting, and a convenient delay that allows you to hide the remote before the picture is taken. The receiver can also fire a remote flash. At further distances, up to almost half a mile, there's the Nikon Wireless Radio Control Set, MW2. Control the firing of 3 separate cameras at 3 different locations. For unattended time-lapse photography, there's the Nikon Intervalometer MT2. You set the desired intervals, the intervalometer trips the shutter release. 2 or 16-second delays are possible, allowing flash recycling to occur for multiple photographs. And if you want to look at things in a different way, there's a range of interchangeable finder screens, eyepiece correction lenses, eyepiece magnifiers, and right-angle viewing attachments. The truth is, you've never seen a photo system like this before. From the N6006 to the legendary Nikon F4S, and with Nikon lenses, speed lights, and other accessories in between, Nikon offers the most advanced, most complete system of 35mm photography in the world today. Combining advanced optics, electronics, and computer technology, only Nikon lets you make the world's greatest pictures. And while you're out shooting, consider these other Nikon products and systems. Nikon touch cameras, compact 35mm cameras that offer a variety of features, including autofocus, panorama feature, pictures as close as 14 inches, power zoom lens, and built-in flash. For example, the ultra-compact Nikon Light Touch offers regular 35mm format or panorama pictures at the touch of a button, built-in automatic flash with red-eye reduction, and a 2-shot self-timer. With the date model, imprint pictures with date or time. And with a 28mm Nikon lens, the light touch takes beautiful, clear photographs. With the Nikon Zoom Touch 470, a power zoom lens from 35 to 70 millimeters can be used to capture distant subjects or make great portraits, or stop the lens anywhere in between for other shots. An adapter is included for eye-catching panorama shots. With autofocusing and an automatic built-in flash, the Nikon Zoom Touch 470 gives you terrific pictures at the touch of a button. Nikon sunglasses. High technology moves into high fashion. Complete protection from harmful ultraviolet light, yet comfortably lightweight, manufactured at the Nikon Optical Glass Works to the strictest of standards. Nikon binoculars, a full line of exceptional sport optics, including a complete assortment of models for a diverse range of activities, including birdwatching, sports spectator use, boating, concerts, and wildlife observation. Sturdy construction makes them durable, backed by a 25-year limited warranty. Nikon Underwater. It took Nikon to bring the true handheld convenience to underwater photography. The Nikonos 5 is compact, easy to use, lightning fast, and offers fully automatic operation. Or look through the reflex viewing system of the Nikonos RS and see the underwater world come alive. For the first time, Nikonos RS includes matrix metering, autofocus, and a range of features found in no other underwater system. Add an unprecedented selection of Nikonos accessories, including interchangeable lenses and close-up equipment, and you'll never want to surface again. Nikon underwater photographic systems are designed specifically to meet the rigorous demands of water, pressure, and underwater light. Thank you for joining us on our Nikon journey, and good luck in building your Nikon system. Remember that your Nikon dealer is always there to advise you on the correct Nikon camera, lenses, and accessories for you. Also, be sure to attend the traveling Nikon school sessions when they visit your area. Subscribe to Nikon World magazine, full of first-hand articles by America's leading photographers. And take advantage of Nikon's complete learning series of videotapes, dealing with cameras, flash, light, and other important subjects. Call 1-800-NIKON-US for complete information. With Nikon, your journey is just beginning. Experiment. Take advantage of Nikon's years of experience and technology. You'll see why Nikon is the choice of professional photographers everywhere, and how you too can start taking the world's greatest pictures. For Nikon, I'm Jack Perkins.
The technology that Nikon's offering now in the system makes a shot like tonight possible. That would have been literally threading the needle to try to do a shot like this with a manual exposure system. You're in a moving helicopter, they're shifting light, they're shifting positions. There's wind that's affecting the position of the boom and consequently the position of the camera. All these things need to be compensated for. You've got the camera physically where you can't be. So the camera naturally has to take over even a larger share of the work of your eye. The camera's focusing for you, the camera's exposing for you. So you have to rely on a sophisticated automatic system. I'm relying on the camera to do that.
The camera is a tool for recording light and shade. And we forget that we should make it do what we want it to do, or what we see or feel, so that when you, the viewer, sees my work, you see it, but you don't see it in 3D. So I have to put in my images, the depth, the 3D effect, what I heard that morning, or maybe the quietness, the smell, the sounds. And you try to put that all on a piece of flat paper so that your viewer feels as though they're there.